나중에다 착신해서 아마도 제 착신해서도 그래서 기도도 다들 계시면 찾아.
It's important to find out how that attachment and clinging arises.
나중에 배는 유이동원으로 통해 걸려야 유이동원도 가능해. 배는 미지기 배나 어디서 미세거나 미완 쳐야 채도 아주 가좀 중요시해서 다들이야 디자인 채는 인제부지 가져네 인제부지 가르쳐 소도 대세 근데 단 디베 인제부 서버 인다사로지 지금 아주 수요없다 디자인 제쇼 아 근데지게 이 이동원是통해 걸려야这个呢将来通해 걸려야 유태랑 장기 유태 장기 일래야 파방 유도 원시 나가 걸려야 유디베 리베 차이베 리베 차세 리부 양양 리베 차세베 칸네 리베 차세로 지 겹네 여바로 통했어 말리베 차세 매바다보다 리베 차세게 겹네 여바로 통했어.
And now, for instance, if we see something that we are attached to, then we find that whatever, like for instance, something, a thing that we really like it, we are attached to, we see that, then we see the positive side, the good side of that thing. Something really too much, we don't see any negative side of it. We see all good sides. That's it.
Oh, quite short. Oh,
it's too short. I must think more quickly.
Today, you sang as the Saki Golia, you did and Digi, Yabu Masad, Chuda of Sam, when you've been dead, when you watch 2 Yamans.
So, when we are attached to something, then that the goodness or the good thing that we see, the nice thing that we see of it, and our mind, it cannot be separated. It becomes kind of one.
Today, you sang you did the Saki, you did sing on the Shah Golia, you did Yabu body, one made shy. Today, you sang you did Yabu Masha Bodo, you did for a summer, Sharacho. Today, you sang that Huni be the Tisu Charlotte.
So, something that you are attached to, that when appears to your mind, it appears as something really nice. And, unless it appears really nice, that thing doesn't appear to your mind. So therefore, the too much nice and the appearance of that object of your attachment comes together.
Today, you sang that Digi Kansurataji, the Jackie Yudi Tambu Yabu Zamton. Today, we are Lord the Shucher Judusana, number 100 Yabu Summer, number 100 Yabu, number 100 Yabu. And one net that the one Yabuji got Yila Papa. They are Zoda, Rangi Yila Pabe, Junsen to Cherry. She died Junsen Yamataka, Rango Judu, Sar Yila Papa Junsen to Cherry. The Tongan Jusan, same with Naloliabe, same to Udilapa, Sim Silver, Telaba Juni, cut at the mail. Cut at the mail, China, Imagilia, say about the Shucher and Producane, that Lander, the Tango Lander, take Kundur, the summer churches.
And that the object of your attachment is seen as a very desirable thing. The reason is that I like it, It is something desirable to my mind. That's the reason. That's the only reason. And because of that reason, then it is something that I cannot, kind of separate. I cannot bear to be separated from it.
Today, you say, when I share with me now, and the data, you tell you, I guess you tell you, or the you eat on what's in there. Third thing, I say, Hashwati. One meadow. Hashwata Pena, dinner. Miss me, one guac, me, Duham, some dance. Oh, Delia, the judge, sometimes did serving me, meeting Deva Sureda, Deva Gere, Savage. Could you some of the church of Jig? Mean Davakuya, Chessi Samatane, then it so. I should deviate on the good to me, tea, tell it and Hakuto. Harasan Mijigi, Davasuyada, Londra Shadow, Jala Sushare. Jala the Savati, when it's an equivalent, walk to the church, Kulia church, when it's a meat, Manguchi, Telean, Davasu. Davas wasn't the massive, meet someone, TV, Nuang Davakechu. Nuang Davakene, Nuang Shadow, Kashobe, Nuang Davakechu, and Kashoeda, you have a Chimina, the Nuang Davakechu. That is a music con Davasa, Zanwameva. Today, Kashoe, Zanlia, and it's Damkacha, Rawameva. For a moment, the tongue on Zamne, and immediately Kashoe, Betty Kashoe, Dangan, Lord of someone, as you Lord of someone, middle of energy social. Tina Jala, the Tomba Zamne, that made it Kalakazam Suezat. Jala Manu Pony, the Jala, the Tomba Zam, the Kalakazam Taco, want to do that. Today, you start digging Jala, the Tomba Zamne, Miller Rawame, just the Tangameva, just saw you in the sun. Dig Karahaku Sana. Desa Sadi, Zawame. Imagina Haku. There's a game is not so Zawame, who Karina, Tangwazanime, that thing, Yanamato, Zanimidia, and on the door. Today is a mystery tea, Shanchana of the Lanche, and Davasuya, and it's Noir Chedbe, designed by Governor Mawista Soyun.
You can see that the attachment or craving is something that is not, that is unfree. That's not free for you. If you look at things, the people make a desirable thing for you. People try to create things that is desirable for the people, for instance. And therefore, because they want to sell it to you, for instance, so they try to find out what are the things that will attract your mind most. What are the things that will kind of create such a strong desire for you to get it that you don't even mind how much you spend or whatever happens, but your mind. So therefore, when these kind of things are created, then your mind, like it so much, it becomes so desirable that you become very, you have such a strong craving for that you have to get it, you have to buy it. It doesn't matter whatever, you spend for it. So therefore, the main issue about this attachment is that you become, kind of overpowered by that object that you're attached to. And you cannot, your freedom to choose whether you want it or not is kind of lost. So therefore, when you are overpowered by desire and too much kind of attachment, and that is a kind of you are not free anymore. Your mind is totally taken over by that thing. So this is something important to understand.
망마 주주가 되잖아요. 자나가 침을 자나를 되잖아요. 아니 참선 총상들이 나는 저기 디나네 총상 가서 진짜만 되는데 부부 재무자는 좀좀 내를 튀기. 지도자가 부부 재무자를 망고시. 대지 야고도. 비게 야고도 삼들 저기야. 나 강가로 야고를 땡겨 쓰죠. 대지 interest. 그봐. 야고도. 얘네들 상황이 아니야. 내가 순서 상황. 그래 뉴스나 대바나야 체지 송구도 마도 수순 대바디 왕도 당사는 구마고 아니야. 대고 슈체르시미나 대바디 그 다른 카카지 마셔요. 그 슈체르 제 담이미나 구마고 아니야도 와. 그래 뉴스나 그 미사일 구마고 아차디 지체나 그 우투 인제 지체나 그 가수야 대바 수제 구마고 아데 용시로. 그래 지주사네 마수 뒤gün 가수에 뭐부 가시기 아주 다 라와메베 치기하데 라와메베 쳐버디 뭐부 뒤 라와메베 쳐버려 슬라비나 하지만 뭐부 그런 거네 아주 이동우미요 사다 초치니다 미디 가수에 잘라디 위에 시야야 근데 쇼지네 디 민수에서도 이동와 사대 미망벽이 니제지 주나 가 가보 용사래 사르 삼자르 망부되는 되게 상황을 주루루를 써야 되산 아니 이동와 사르 차르마도 셴다 미수지기다 가수의 아이디어 성한테 삼룰래야 매백이 아니 이동와 사지 수하면 드레인 주사는 이동와 사대 바지 됐으니 바지 써야 다 뭐에 돌아지 준비돼 용스고 사변으로부터 용스를 의미는 소도 미수해서 되게 인주산 디균제를 되네 다시 한다 얘한테 마셔야 돼 얘한테 해서
When I was young, I was taken to China, and then they would sometimes take me out and sometimes take me to shops for shopping. And they would take me to the shops where there was very nice, like dolls and, things like that you play with. They're so nice. They are so nice. There are so many very nice things, interesting things this is also very interesting. That is also very interesting. Everything is very interesting. But of course, you cannot buy everything. So I found out, I think that if you give over, if you give over to your attachment or to desire completely, then it can lead you to steal because you cannot buy everything. So, so I understand that, of course, some people steal because of too much, need, but then, it is also possible that you steal because you have too much desire and yet there are too many nice things. So when we think about this, these things, they are so nice, they are so desirable. Is it that? Of course, the things also matters. There are some more nice things than others. But basically, what is desirable and undesirable is very much to do with our own mind. It's what we create as something desirable. Like if everybody says this is very nice, this is very desirable, this is very good, and then, as a kind of a collective, idea or collective, kind of identity, we find that this is something desirable, something very good. And so therefore, it is something that we create, the society creates, something that is desirable and then also undesirable. So this is also something that is important.
Today you sound digits and then 이동 묘사다. 이 장화매가 차리 이 무엇이야? 소디 가서에 근데다 생활랑 소도 샘디기에 가서에 상당하다 추이네 추버지 좋네 눈추지 좋네 아니 가서에 진짜질에 대해서다 장화매가 참这좋네 배나 가라서는 꼭 자식 야타고 뭐지 유이텔이야 뭐 니주 토리야 뭐 니주 산다다 그나 가서에 pero dos anos de medo. Muito isso torna o ser muito bastante. Ne o ser não se de base o ser já de sana. Mas de ser mano de dois panos ser de medo. Ser com dois panos ser. Dois panos be jaur de ser já. De zan ha kwa mengi dois panos zuma yor. Panos zuma ha kwa mengi de ser já de sana. Patana ya be ni jago. De ser de sana. 오늘 파람 오늘 rendu 상 파람 임베 이제 야자 야당 거 이제 야자 야당 거 제네 제입니다 누르지도 파람 뭐 임베질이야 파람 이제 야당 야자 야당 거 제샤입니다 야 누르지도 드리 주산 디 균제는 되네 이동 가서에 이동 오면 사만다 되게들이야 가서에 지 더즈지 자식야담 되지 되고 미미미냐 자식야담 소소 대시 비싼 뒤균세는 되네 려샤사데 제와가 리용리도 但因为呀确实아주 삼도 뉴스 아 원하지 이용게 잡아당 자와다서 실제 르미 동화사 되게 되자 말이에요 동무 저와다 그제 심지어 르동 미자와 정말 이게 되게 그래서 라입니다. 지당 다 르동 미자와 지금 가서 쌤네 카트야 매바 저때 매바데 지버지 인기래서 이메나야데 균제 삼당당 돈을 줘 유기래서 그리고 삼디 균제 양다지 당한데 니엘로를 보고도 나는 대바 숨숨 사야도 되게 균제가 돈을 많이 봐 거진 샤와다 아니 가서야지 하셔다 대단한 레디사 시험다 안 거진 채와다 안 다른 신기 에네 균제 양다르지 망부지리야 삼당 유산에 되네다 균제 삼당 고급 예배체 맞으지 삼당 가서 균제 삼당네 이 가서 일을 과야 예배지 되지 윤주산에 콜라 장완도 챘다 이동화대 거라 가서야지 일에 땅을 잡아지 여배 이미냐 텔레야 가서야지 셈베 담징징도데 매버체 가서야지 텔레야 담징징 매이바 지당 거라 르동 저 시여배 이미냐 텔라고 흘르르 주안도 뇌샤디 셈 동마 잡아서도 마세베 담징징도 소소 디나로 레베 가서 쓸데바 디나로야 가서 치러려야 미동야 되지 이제 상부도 자연이 있어. 리주산 디균제는 되네. 뇌샤당 참니지사디디 초진에 르동 미동와 잡시래 자위에 비네야. 그 첼레 리버디스 미다용의 유기래서.
So therefore that which makes our mind, kind of not free, but totally attracted. And, that our mind is completely kind of captured with something. That becomes the attachment. And so therefore, when we are overpowered by attachment, we lose our freedom. And that is also to do with the way we see it, how we think. It is not that the thing makes us, thing makes us kind of like that. It is our mind which, how we react to that thing. That makes the important thing. That loses our freedom. If you look, for an example, the thing that we are attached to, the way we see that thing is not exactly how it is. Our mind, overpowered by attraction or too much desire or too much attachment, is something that we overvalue the quality of that thing. For instance, take the example, of say like diamond. These days there are many fake diamonds. Fake diamonds, if somebody makes a fake diamond, and but it is made so nicely that it looks like the real one. And then if I mistake this fake diamond as a real diamond, and then I really think that this is the real diamond, and then I kind of hold it as real diamond, then I'm wrong.
100.
Yeah, 100%. So the things that I'm attached to, I see it as 100% good, although in actual sense it is not like that. So therefore I'm kind of seeing it with a 100% kind of desirable to something which in fact is not 100% desirable. So therefore that that is kind of something that the way it is and the way my mind kind of holds it is something different. It's wrong. Now you might say that your loving kindness and love to the beings, your compassion to the being is also something like that. It's very desirable. So therefore, is that not attachment? Now here also, that I don't want to give up these beings there before I love them or I have compassion to them. From that point of view, it is similar. My mind doesn't want to give up the sentient beings. But now the difference is that when you are attached to something, and then the way your mind works is that I like it, I want it, and that's the only reason. And therefore, I want it, I like it, I am so much desiring it that I cannot control myself. So therefore, you have lost your freedom to choose. But when we have compassion and love to the beings, then it's a little bit different, because then why you love beings, why you have compassion to the beings. They have been very kind to me in many different ways, and there are many other very kind of reasons, genuine reasons you have that you don't want to let go of them, or you don't want to you don't want to forsake them, or so therefore because of a certain genuine reasons you love people and you have compassion to them. So therefore it is a choice you make. It's a free choice. You have the freedom to choose to like these people, to have compassion to these people, that you don't want to give up on them. So therefore, this kind of loving kindness kind of way of not giving up on the sentient beings and attachment way of not giving up is very different. Because in the attachment, there is a very strong kind of holding on to, that you cannot let go, a very kind of tight and very strong kind of closed feeling. But when in compassion and loving kindness, it's different. It's not like that. It's much more, open, much more free, and kind of warm kind of feeling. So this is very different, I think.
Oh. Today you said the you match children never. Children never in Dusana. That you can Chaxilia Capde Codine Capde Jouch. Havadoji Sazam Pinzuagi, need never need to delay the Capde Jouch. That did not mean today in Dusan Tayabe Dusin, Fasue, but today I be Dusans are Duzare, Chaxia. The Duzare said, we are the something of young star horse. That's on the Chigis and Betty. Deja Bones to the Sun Betty. Someone of it, Chasson, never says out of coach. That day, so to me to Begaland of Savage. Today, we are to the Cosera. Today, is your man. Chidang or Mima Uzilia, Pinzuji, that is on Alolia, the governor Chadus and Marchesi, Tambo. Karsuetaji. Samotang, G. Karsueti, Gunze and the Samotang, Sam, Decame, Tabishatang Majuche. Whatever something semblance guy in this and eat in this. And that the Turanda Benyam to be mitigation. Turama to Mugosar, some Kizisha in this and Kizisha. That is Gemma teeth and when it's the you understand? That is money. Lutonale, Karahashua. Mumaji, Tamja Rizzer chest and San, Lutan will be Monet Neta, Kashuyam, Kur Rizzer Superb, Karahashua. There's the positive regime. Madoya, Zawa Nini, Kashua Delia, Yidonwata, Zawara, the Zawa in the matches. As you can see, some of them are no. Gunzen Samadandi, Chikarjue, Tras Gunzen Peba, Chisu Tonzam Nini, Tonzamba de Gunzen Cheva, Yana, Hashue, Rangabe, Sonang Chumbazam, Choada, Beabudo, Sonang Gunzen to Maiba, till the Gunzema thinks somebody which is sometime in Busane, they think Sabu Gunzen de Gunzen thinks somewhere when I see. 我你是团里呢，定什么，运什么，那这样这用得多。等马到这个早年的流动时光的，这里钱呢，下面呢，看啥样？你讲就都是下面的，我的33年啊，33年过年听不下来嘛那是，听不下来没就是啥呢？怕就咔嚓的一张。 但你们这里啊，挑个的，小朋我不去做古巴狼谷啊的，去做古巴狼谷就是啥呢？他可给这下面就是啥呢？手穷这个道理啊，我说你去做古巴狼，难给阿妈是当不？难给阿妈，说你去做古巴狼谷，该动是了，这里是手去听的，就这样的想想这个你，说你靠近你生就是啥呢？确实就不是啥了。 出去的就是啥，出去就是啥。他第一张的给他们说，可能是这是广东啥这些。可是可能个下是修炼的下是得提的，修炼的现在起来。但是出去我这个现场说，他啷个啥嘞？这晓得。第一说的呀，啊，其实样子的大家需要嘛，就那就是不是，可是说他这。 肉碰的是强，好的，怕是的人家，还说，上他的光了，就是的上他的卡扎的嘛，这个检查是很重要，这个技术好嘛，因为啊，可能还说就这样的，就这顶上嘛，上大去，但多少钱还说，我说山上平时。 냠도 대야 동행이 줄라 마송 대외 줄은 다 그거 대 저를 잡을 양이야 아주 동해를 대화 로르샤브레 균젠다 에너지 소수기 통매기 가수에 삼절 디들이야 라시불이 그랬습니다.
So most of you are householders, so you all have to face this challenge of attachment. But when we say, that attachment is something negative, it is not to say that every, kind of desirable thing or every attachment is something bad. Everything that you are attached to, you have to give up, you have to be disattached. That's not the case. Sometimes people think that, it is said that I should not be attached to things. So therefore, I have to give up everything. I have to give up everybody. That is wrong. That's not the case. That's not what we are saying. What we are saying is that we have to base our relationships and our attachments on the right reason, on the right kind of a way. It's not just like, totally unreasonable and totally kind of not clearly thought after, and then you totally get into it, and then you cannot get out of it. Not that kind, and that things that brings problems and sufferings and pain later on. That is not what we want, because sometimes you get into something, into a relationship or into something that, without proper understanding or proper way, and then it's very difficult to get out of it, and then create lots of problems for everybody, for both sides. So therefore, if you look deeply, then I think, if you can understand it, if you can find a good reason, if you think in a proper way, then we can make the relationships in a very, very good way, and something that brings more harmony and more good things than the problems. There is a story that I remember. It is said that there was once a couple, and this couple were not doing very well together. So they were not talking to each other. So one day the husband wrote a note. He was not talking to his wife, so he wrote a note, and it says, the mother of the family, I have to get up at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Please wake me up. And then he went to sleep. And of course, he overslept. And when he woke up, it was already 10 o'clock. So he was a little bit annoyed and angry. Why she didn't wake me up? And then when he woke up, he went to the kitchen. And the note that he had left, next to it, another note was left, saying that you must wake up now. It's already 9:30. So therefore, it's not to say that, you have to have no attachment, that you can't talk to each other, or, you have to both kind of sit meditating all the time. It's not like that. The relationships, whether it's the family or whatever, this should not become a source of suffering, source of problems. It should become a source of happiness. So therefore, we have to see it, understand it in such a way, the way we think it, that's the very important, the way we, our attitude towards our relationship and our attitude towards how we, see things, that becomes very important. And if you do it in a proper way, then it doesn't need to be always the source of suffering.
Samu ting samu tang sa di. Ji ka gyunze samu da gyunze samu la samu tang sa di. Be ji shana ma da gyunze samu hurang yin ni ha kwa song kwa. De le yang zhong ji xie wo zhong. Xia de wa qirang zu pa ji xin ge ge de. Gyang long de zu gi ji dang xie yi na xi zhe cha ne. Kwa gwa ba mi se me li ya ne ka shui. Ma na de sa ben da gyang long de cha be go ne da. 不灭了日求嘛那是，啊，我把米色月饼那个我日求了吧，但是现在呢，这马上就是呢，不灭了日米求吧就吃不消。有的啥呢？你们这里啊，讲你那是说呢嘛，喝不起来，我说老百姓在这主要的是，啊，我说啷个呢？这就是啥呢？出钱不如出的是钱不如多的。 就全部都啥呢？俺地体里呀，没几啊的是，后面的，俺出的话改过啊的是，那改错啊，那是开始呢，找不到了去的。这就啥呢？俺这给我听见了呀，同样的啥，哪怕给地角落，改完角落给你把，别接落去，老把接落去，哪怕是，角落全部改不定。 假如想把这个袋子装的用嘛，是俺说得听人，现在装的用嘛，那不是。假如给我的我上路的去当去，俺这个袋子上也全部把介绍了。然后呢，人家这旁边什么的，旁边的改变叫了提前，去把这把剪下来，剪出就是俺那剪呢，俺那去把这把剪，俺那花泥吧，就是去这个起码的是。 但可你啥子看了，人家看了看这我们这是的啥？呢，给老学嘛的啊，你的给老热哇死了，给老热死，给老研究啥呢？不免的说给外讲基础嘛的哇死，老热死。哦，你可是给老给嘛的老热死，你等于等于你下菜是，没办法上课的嘛下菜，就让他都下没为是。 那不是，哦，这里就是啥呢？他这下下的过去，俺就是上路定什么就当秘密呢？而且这里就上路当没着什么。俺这就看的这样，还说这看的下边的几部没，俺说上路定什么就当秘密呢？后来上路当班主要。
I said that we have to think in a proper way. So this, maybe I should give an example because we don't maybe understand what it means to think in a proper way. Generally, in Vinaya, there's a rule that the bhikkhus, the full ordained monks, cannot touch a woman. And then there was two monks. For some reason, they came out from their monastery and going somewhere else. So they went down to the valley, and there was quite a big river, and they had to cross that river by, by foot. They just had to go through the river. But there was a woman at the bank of the river who could not herself cross the river because the river was quite strong. And she asked these monks whether they would help her to cross the river. The young monk said, no, I cannot, we cannot help you because we are monks and we cannot touch a woman. And the elder monk thought a little bit and he said, okay, I'll carry you on my back. So he carried her on his back and then, left her on the other bank. And then they were walking towards wherever they were going. And after quite a long time, then the young monk said to the older monk, isn't it true that we monks should not touch women. He said, the older monk said, yes, that's true. Then he said, but you were carrying this woman through the river. And then this older monk said, I had carried her through the river, but I left it on the bank. Are you still carrying her? So this, this is kind of, the way of, thinking, how different way of thinking in a deeper way. So therefore, it's not always, like what is said or what is written has to be not taken exactly as it is written or said. Maybe that's, I will maybe go through some of the questions that were submitted this morning. His Holiness speaks often of the importance of blending our life and the Dharma. Having not heard His Holiness speak about his views on the importance or balance of formal practice and retreat versus carrying these practices or understandings to daily life, some think that His Holiness thinks that these are not so important these days, meaning formal practice and retreat, etc. Could His Holiness please speak about his views on the importance of or lack of formal practice and retreat of various lengths?
Yes, 그뒤나 지게 두즈메 지랑면도 슬러니 얘는 프랑스 지랑 유지 말에 삼바마도 예 마셔야잖아 좀 마셔다 프랑스 지랑면자 대지 터시를 당가지에但이면야 된다 주어디 아니 그런데 참 주어geb사디디 지당 참사야디 오늘 전에지 예, 가르치래도 쓰나? 아니 그 소수 삼단시 참리야 대대 유엔에서 말. 올해 다도서 예고마지 양랑 엄마 초와지 중요해. 대시하는 거. 삼사가 그래. 룽아 이순지 소수기 이기 왕별 고대서 담네. 신원에 전에 세면 바지 연구도 삼바로 든지지게 되니래 chen 참을 침배 있는 오늘 참말해. 대단한 많이 봐. 샘되니 가수에 윤슬에 2초. 류참 담잖아. 맞지? 정강한다고 그래도. 정강하다 될래도 같이 하면 돼. 수수치론 저대에나야. 너무 주지 샤샤. 맞지? 정강 니버도 쳐요. 드네 뉴스는 수수기 샘 웬버도 샘 웬버 소말 샘 누가 예수다. 뉴지기베 이를 껴네. 당원에들 참례에 선배만으로 제 대고 수술을 되나? 아니 되게 선배만 뒤기 고 대화로 뒤기. 아니고 류 왼발 내비냐 들려야 미세 동에서 강에로 계속 선배만 내하고 되니는 유버슈 타고 있어. 드림에 인도산 뒤준세는 되네. 하고 참 대발라 다스지 가서에 지도 룩스셔. 데 배배 룩스리아 지 참대서 룩스슈 참대서 요래. 세상아 딩사르지 근데지 마도 수술 미세기 로스 초스 참대고 빈주지 이거 드레사 준세 미세 라나 큐모모이 매버치 데치비미나 로지니 신세도사네 참대아베 참기 이인도 껴아니가 드네도사 디준세나 데네 가서지 참인주자 디디 룩스 참 많이 봐 오늘 장 랑기비 닝니 소화예외 돈 지지 채비입니다. 오늘 장 야오샤네 뒤주 당도 충분히 야오샤네 미망부지게 오늘 전에 뒤주지 땅은 formal practice 최고 성교하래 왜 야오샤네 안다네 되다 뒤주민도 둘로민도 사대야 지 냠내 차들 도나지 채네 뒤지 최고도 좀 도나 채버라 되네 니주되게 연구할 만나 하고 좀나마도 좀 되는데 안 뒤주 예매 그 소화코라 연구만 하고 민주산데
So actually, whoever comes to see me, they always complain and say that I don't have time to practice. What can I do? And because of that, I give these instructions or suggestions that even if you don't have time, you can practice. That should not, completely hinder you from doing some practice. But I never say that you should not practice formally, Of course, if you can practice formally, that's very good. If you can do retreat, that's very good too. But when you do retreat, I have this feeling that, the retreat is something where you, make your body, speech, and mind to find solitude with your body, speech, and mind. And therefore, you kind of find peace of your mind and then do retreat there. That is true retreat, to find the solitude of your body, speech, and mind. But if your mind is totally distracted, and then you put your body in a retreat situation, then I don't know whether it's really retreat or not, because then it's more like a prison. You put your body somewhere that you cannot move, but your mind wants to, but if your mind, body, speech, and really are inspired to find solitude, and then you do the retreat, then you don't feel anything difficult that you have to go somewhere, because you really want to do, you have the right attitude, the right aspiration. So therefore, your retreat becomes a really good retreat. And so this kind of retreat, I very much encourage people to do. But then sometimes people do retreat just like a custom or a tradition, that people do 3-year retreat, so I have to do 3-year retreat also, So therefore, the retreat has to be done as a proper one, as a really true practice, not just as a tradition, or just because people are doing 1-year, 2-year, 3-year retreats, therefore I just want to do it. Otherwise, if you do like that, just as following a tradition, then after 1 or 2 years, you get fed up with this. And then, this retreat will not be so useful. So if you find time, and if you have the right attitude and the right motivation to do retreat and formal practices, that's really good. I very much encourage you to do that. But on the other hand, when people say that they don't have time to practice, this is also something good, I think. When they say that I don't have time to practice, this means that they are interested to do practice. They feel bad because they don't have time to practice. So therefore, it's not a bad thing, it's a good thing. They feel that there is a need to do practice, but they can't find time. They want to find a way to do practice. So it's actually, I very much appreciate that too. So next question is, Your Holiness, most people experience a lot of problem with attachment. Can you give some guidance on how as householders one can have love and patience in a relationship without attachment.
Lava Chinyam Shachi, Lava Chishek and Chairman. Did I tell you, Maria? Today, you son of that? Yes, somebody. Like and give game of share. And the Luigi to do sometime you get in there. And that's all the water to the others. I trust me somewhere that. Gee. 아주 최념의 책에서한테 그러시래. 아마도 남배 최념의 책 실업의 인지를 제도 되는 냠의 책. 실업의 인지를 제도 되는 냠의 책입니다. 아니 뭐지? 자와 정도 마세베 남주의 집에서다. 남주에 대한배 초용내 가지고야지 차창하지로 가지고 띵 초용내 아니 왜 다제로 체제 초용 다제로 체제. 엔다 남주에서 당고 아래. Today, Chay you son, I drink Mizina Lolia, Choachi gave me. Today, Zawa the Shirvini, what the cut them. Tina Nega, energy, Casre, Tandy day, Casre, good, long Milan Sagi, Casre, Daji, Tanwachia, Kudulia. 조어도 시럽 개셔 빵나치야데 자와다 시럽을 되는 빵나치 디레 뉴산에 아주 시럽 사모지고 한데 야게 좀 샤리 안에서 다 시럽 대양 조디 가와토디 알았으나 지당에 가셔야지 아주지 지금 이제 슝즈네 셰베 시럽사 대점도 많이 봐 상보다 상보다 개와 가리 먹을 수 있도 버지다 미기와도 미상 가리 먹을 수 있는 와데 저로 차리 와래 디리주산 디규젤 데네 에네 다더기디 attachment 사리디 초진에 가서요 아주지 마다 맞제를 체제 그런 뒤 차베제 좀 장샤비나 아니 대자 민지를 성 가서요 디 단 이미대 아주지 다시 제를 체비미나 안 되는 농주지 예버지나 교연지 예버지 교연상지 예버지 아주 멋있는 거 알았어 근데 이 인도산에 가수에 대라대는 동해 주고 예버 아주 신경 알았어 근데 이 인도산 디균전에 대는 안당의 시험은시 아주 지 삼로디 지 띵삽산에 삼로 빠체 시럽的 니지 단 이미대 양고 시럽디 양고 시럽디 양배 가수에지 하고 다시 당당한데 야부 시험을 좀 이미나 안당의 시험은 배양假设这个嘛这边呢有安排的话，假设家长把对这模式这里啊这下来这也不用嘛，可登记大钱过啊，洗了个登记钱，年纪过了2没多少钱，真的这钱过啊的什么
？We have two ends, but one hand maybe. We have to meditate, and one hand, shake hand. That may be possible, may not be. The main thing is, when you practice Dharma, the wisdom and compassion, these two has to go together, and these two are the main things. So when you talk about wisdom, that we should be able to think and examine, not in a kind of one side, but from all sides. We have to understand, we have to really examine. So in our life, these two cannot be separated. We have to have compassion, love, we have to have wisdom also. These two cannot be separated. And then when you talk about what is needed and what is not needed, or what's to give up or what to take on, these are the things that is decided by wisdom. So therefore, when you talk about wisdom, it's not something that you just in the treatises that we have to study a lot. It's not that. We have to understand what is good, what brings benefit, what brings positive things, and what brings suffering and negative things. We have to understand how to distinguish these. And then things that will bring, pain and problem and suffering, that we need to know that, and we have to give it up. And those things that brings more happiness and positive things and benefit, we have to be able to take on. So therefore, the understanding is that when we look at something, it's not that it's 100% good or 100% bad or something like that. There's there may be 1% good, 1% not so good, things like that. So therefore, we need to see this in a clear way, and through that wisdom, and unseparated with the compassion, then we need to work on that. That's the main thing.
네, 다시 리자게 되면 너무로. 리자게 되는 거죠. 나 드린입니다. 아는 게 아니죠.
Today we stop here, and then we read the Sanskrit. We recite the Sanskrit part of the dedication.
Savabhasya karanam kushayajopasampada svachitavayavadapanam edadbutanam shasanam takajimiram devomaya vashyaya buddham svanam cha vidyudabram cha evam drashtayate sanskritam anena punyena tu sarva darshita mabhapya nirjitya cha doshvidirisha jararu jamirtu mahoroimi sangulat samundareyam bhavasa